This is Dave Meltzer with Entrepreneurs the Playbook, and I have the CEO of Trainiac, Akshay Ahooja. I practiced that before we started.
There you go.
I'm turning off of the name butcher in a consistent way. So it's interesting because there's so many entrepreneurs that are coming up with apps with the gig economy. And, you know, whether it's with service or with product, everybody thinks they have the latest and greatest app. Trainiac is not a new idea. It matches trainers with people and allows you to have that kind of personalized service at a more convenient and efficient price.
Yeah.
How is it that you're so successful at something that seems so mainstream and obvious?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So when we think about Trainiac, it's all about having a human directly to help you. A lot of these apps that you get, these fitness apps, you're not really working directly with a human. There may be a human that creates content at scale, but in Trainiac, when you come, you're working one-on-one directly with that trainer in the app. And what we realized was that that trainer, it's not so much of a marketplace because that trainer comes in with like this experience of training people in a gym, but training people online is a whole other ballgame. And it's a new profession, and it's not really been figured out yet. Even though it's the future of training, the future of training is at least partially digital. It hasn't really been figured out. So we put a ton of time and resources into training our trainers to be really effective online trainers. And so we think of it as like, we have the best online personal trainers in the world.
Have you thought about making that your business? Training trainers online, not just physical trainers.
Yeah. We did think in those directions. I think what's required is the mission of the company is to get people into a long-term and sustainable fitness routine. That's why we come into work every day. And in order to do that, it requires more than just training the trainer, because then they require a platform to be able to provide that service. And then we provide a community for these trainers to be able to talk to each other and learn from each other and sort of like the tide lifts all boats. And so I think if we want to fulfill our mission, it requires us to take a more vertical look.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Funding a project like this is not easy.
No.
And, you know, I talk about people putting votes for what they want, putting faith in what they want. There's no such thing as an overnight success. How many years have you been at this right now?
3 and a bit.
Yeah, so there's no such thing as an overnight success, and I'm sure you have a ways to go.
Yes.
But money's always an issue.
Yes.
And I was hoping that you could share with us your perspective on, you know, with an app, you know, raising money and when to raise that money and how you came across the qualified or quantified value justification behind raising the money.
Totally. It's interesting because I don't know if I did it completely right myself, but I'll kind of tell you my history around it. You don't want to raise too early. And I think the right time to know how to raise is like, you know that there's a there, that you're working on something that has like legs to it. And so the first version of the app we released, we didn't have any funding. We bootstrapped it. We did it without funding.
And I'm going to stop you there. So you bootstrapped it. I don't like the word sacrifice.
Yeah.
I like the words invested in yourself.
Totally.
What did that bootstrapping, I want to hear the story because these are entrepreneurs listening, right?
Yeah.
I want them to hear, you know, the Renee Wang story, how she sold her house and her car and lived in her office for 3 years. What did that bootstrapping look like?
Yeah, the bootstrapping, it's interesting. I'll tell you one story. We had to record a lot of video content in order to bootstrap this thing, like exercise videos. And shooting video is really expensive to get good, like videographers.
Tell me about it, man. You saw these cameras around you?
There you go. You got all these cameras. I didn't have any of these cameras, right? So how do you shoot this thing? And so you have to be super resourceful. Like we wanted to shoot in this large industrial area. Any studio that would go to that would provide that kind of a presence was just like way out of budget. And so what is a big open area that's cheap to rent? Nightclubs. And so we walked around.
They're free in the day.
They're free in the day. So we walked around nightclubs in Seattle. We'd go to the manager and we'd say, we'd like to rent out your nightclub Monday to Thursday, 9 to 5. And the nightclub manager was like, I have never heard anybody ask me that before. So you kind of have to find these like mismatches of supply demand to be able to fulfill that. But in the beginning, I think it's a lot about making sure you're balancing your time between doing work and talking to people. A lot about when you're getting started in the beginning is kind of just like putting that energy out there that I'm like passionate about this problem and I'm working on it, and then kind of see what's coming back. And you don't want to think about that as trading off time between like, hey, I could like code this app and the time it would take me to go meet this person. You have to balance those two things.
And how do you balance kind of having a side gig or income while you're in the early stages?
Well, I was very privileged that I had a chance to work at Microsoft and Facebook And my wife was also working. But yeah, so I had this like really cool opportunity to have to work at these companies. So we had some stuff saved. And the important thing is like knowing that you want to start a company eventually. And I always had this mindset, even as like a little kid, that I want to start something eventually. And so making sure that, you're saving that nest egg a little bit. And so when I got into it, I wasn't earning. So you're on the clock right away, right? Even if one spouse is earning, it's still hard. And so yeah, you just have to make sure that the time you're spending day to day is giving you impact, where not so much that you're shipping new features or you're shipping an app, it's that you're learning. Because the thing that happens is you need to learn by the time your time runs out, that you're actually providing a solution to that problem.
And how much did the experience that you had at Microsoft and Facebook help you with understanding these kind of strategies and philosophies on, I really need to be taking in these lessons. I'm on the clock. This is something that I should, bootstrap, et cetera.
Yeah, I think from an entrepreneurship perspective, it is not as much as just working with really, really smart people.
And when you're building now that you have employees, right, as you're scaling, what do you, or what have you taken from those experiences? Because obviously those companies are known for having top quality employees and a great hiring process.
Yes.
What are some of the things that you are looking for that are the same? Or is there anything different that you do when you're looking for talent?
Yeah. You want to make sure that a startup is a collection of people that are super passionate about solving a problem, right? And so you want to make sure anybody you're bringing in is not coming in for a job. They're coming because they're super passionate about solving this problem. And so that's what we focus on, that they're coming in, they have that inner passion for this problem. Then they need to be world-class at what they do, because a startup just doesn't have that many people. And so you need to make sure every person that's coming in, the question we ask ourselves, that Frank and I, my co-founder, ask ourselves is this person going to cause a step function difference in this business?
Excellent. And if they do, how do you package their comp plan? Because obviously you're not drowning in cash.
Yeah. Well, that's you package it up in a way where you want to give them ownership in the company. It's important for everyone that they have ownership in the company. But that's where that passion comes in. Because if somebody's coming in to get an up in their paycheck and come into a startup, they're doing it for the wrong reasons. And so yes, you have to try to make the comp work, because people have lives and they need to make sure they're doing well in that. You give them ownership in the company so that there is a feedback to when we become very successful. And then they're doing it because they love doing it.
And how do you have early success, but you're a long ways from being there. In fact, sometimes success creates the biggest risk and the biggest failures. What do you see as your success and your scaling of the business? What do you see as the biggest risk today?
Well, I think it's if we're not fast enough in explaining this new concept and behavior to the world. I think there's enough tailwinds behind us where people are realizing that fitness is very important to their lives. There's so many solutions out there, right? And we're one of those solutions that help bring a lot of these things together. We're not just about another way to work out. We help put all the places to work out into one place where an expert can help you. And if we're not good at sending out that message in a good way, it won't scale to what it needs to be. Like, I want 10 times as many people to be working with an expert than they do today, because I think it'll change lives. But that just won't be possible if we can't market it in the right way.
And challenge-wise, finding the experts.
Yes.
A lot of people always say, owning your own company and scaling the company, might as well, my first step is to knit a cape, because you literally have to be a hero in order to effectuate scaling and being successful in a business. Finding those experts, what advice would you give when people, and there's a lot of them out there that need to search and find and aggregate and create a collective, and is a community-oriented app.
Yes.
So what advice do you give on finding those experts as well?
Yeah, I think finding those experts, again, is a lot about putting that energy out there. What I've found is people are very generous with their time when you're doing something that you're passionate about. And so if you're going to talk to people, the one thing you want to make sure you ask them is there anybody that you could connect me to that could help me with X?
Nice.
You make sure you end your discussion with that.
Listen to other podcasts, man. That's a gold answer. That's right. Ask for help. You heard Akshay told you right here on the playbook. Ask for help.
It's actually amazing. Even people that you think are so incredibly busy are generous with their time when you're doing something of value. And so just ask for it, and not only ask for their help, but ask them who else they think can help you, and you'll get something good back.
Yeah, you can't think in the terms of busy though, right? I look at active. I always tell people, man, look for people that are good at having activity they get paid for, and ask them for active people are easy to ask for help. Busy people, they sleep all day, high on their mom's couch, sick and broke.
Yeah.
They can never help us. Now, at your age, you're married.
I am.
Do you have children?
I do not.
And so we make investments in ourselves by postponing, delaying, or accelerating certain areas of our personal life.
Yes.
Your parents, her parents, the grandparents,
Yes,
probably put their expectations onto you, which sometimes I think is the hardest part of being an entrepreneur.
Correct.
Having to put faith in what you want, not necessarily what even your spouse wants. How do you stay focused on knowing what you want, in your family and personal life?
Yeah, it's a really good question. So I think there's two parts of it. One is you want to make sure that what you're working on is having the impact that you started on for the reason why you started working on it. So you can get so busy in day-to-day operations, you can get so busy in this like cycle of stuff that you're like, is this thing really even working? And so what I find is like whenever I talk to a customer and they tell me I've been dealing with like chronic illnesses all my life, and this is the first time ever where in the long term I've actually stuck to a fitness routine and it's changed my life. Or when I come home now, I have more energy to play with my daughter. Like those are moments where you know that the sacrifice you're putting in is worth it. But when it comes to the sacrifice, there has to be a balance. Like you cannot think of it as like, I'm just gonna, work my butt off for the next 5 years and I'm gonna ignore everybody else and anything else, and then I'm gonna like completely switch over. You have to do that balance. And so what I find is that entrepreneurs are generally always working unless they're not working. And so, right?
I see I'm the activity I get paid for, guys. So
Yeah.
I'm like, entrepreneurs are always active and they're trying to maximize the activity they get paid for.
There you go. And so you need to be...
Dave Meltzer translation of Akshay.
There you go, yeah. And so you almost need to be like explicit about thinking, okay, right now I am not going to work, even in my mind, even if I'm not like actually working, in my mind, I'm not going to work. And so making sure that you have that balance, you're spending time with your family, you're spending time with your friends. If that is what energizes you, you cannot completely put that away, because I've seen entrepreneurs get into this mindset of like, instead of going out and hanging out with my friends for an hour, if I work for an hour, I could push my company forward. It's just not a good long-term strategy.
Yeah, excellent. One of the words that have come up 3 or 4 times in the interview is one of my favorites, which is consistency.
Yeah.
And your app is based off of a philosophy of, let's make the number one priority for people to be their health.
Yes.
And let's make them consistent.
Yes.
In focusing in on their health.
Yes.
Why is consistency so important combined with health, or any habit for that matter?
Yeah. I think when something is a habit, it's no longer a chore. It's something that you just do. It's like brushing your teeth.
Yeah.
And for me, what I found was that fitness is like this like internal source of energy that exists in all of us, that because we make it a chore, we don't actually get the magic out of it.
Yeah. Well, I have a philosophy of I get to do everything. I don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
But one of the interesting things about fitness,
Yeah.
And for me, I had to re-engineer my life about 2.5 years ago, because I put my family first, my work or activity I get paid for second.
Yeah.
And what I learned over those 48 years, and I played sports in college and ups and downs with my health and weight, et cetera. But more importantly, I learned, gosh, if I don't take care of myself, I actually asked my wife, what can I do for you? And she said, you take care of yourself, because if you take care of yourself,
Totally.
you'll be able to take care of everyone else.
Totally.
And you will take care of everyone else. I know you. And it hit me at home 2.5 years ago. And so I lowered the bar, and I consistently every day spend a minimum of an hour a day on my health.
Awesome. That's
focused
great.
in on my health.
Yeah.
And stretching, lifting, cardio, whatever it is, but every single day.
Yeah.
In that context, what do you think causes, right? And I think fitness, by the way, as a habit, the advantage it has one of the few biochemical habits that you can become addicted to.
Yes.
Just like, if you don't work out, you're addicted to McDonald's and sitting on the couch. When
Yes.
you do work out, your body actually tells you, go work out.
It hurts not to work out.
It does hurt not
Yeah.
to work out. In fact, it can be a problem
Yeah.
for OCD people.
Yeah.
But moreover, getting into habits, because these habits are essential.
Yes.
And if I've been on panels and speaking around the world, and my favorite panel, I was the president of HBO, went to Tulane, and I was speaking at my alma mater, and everyone was giving their great entrepreneurial advice for the freshmen.
Yeah.
And her advice, it blew everyone out of the water. I actually raised my hand and said, "Can I change my answer?"
Oh, really?
Because she said, if I could give all of you freshmen one piece of advice, it would be find an activity that you love to do exercise-wise every day.
There you go.
And it's that important. Why? Everyone would agree.
Yes.
Billions of dollars are made.
Yeah.
Why do we have so much trouble taking care of ourselves?
Yeah, I think you touched on a really important point where exercise shouldn't be, I sign up for this program and I now no longer can do things that I love to do. That has to be a part of your routine. In fact, when clients come to us, we tell them, tell us what you want to bring into this program. Like, what do you love to do? If you love playing soccer, if you love playing running, we will build that program around that.
Wow.
So that's very important. The second is motivation, because I think people stop because they don't get motivated enough. And we've spent a lot of time thinking about this. Motivation has layers to it. The fact that you may not work out, it could be about inertia, that it takes too long to get to the gym. It takes too long to set up for the gym. I don't know what to do. I don't know where this is leading. All these questions in your mind stop you from doing something that you would have normally done. And so we've broken down motivation into these layers that our trainers help the users go through to say, all right, let's just get you going on something. Let's do something that you love. And then you got to eat your veggies. So you got to do the strength training. You got to do the mobility exercises. And then soon you'll start to find that, hey, this is actually something that I enjoy doing. It's not a chore. And when that flips in your brain, then it's great.
That's amazing. Executive coach from billionaires to athletes to entrepreneurs, and your app is its own mentoring and training system. Last question. Do you have a mentor?
I do. I have several mentors. Very, very important to have a mentor. One of my mentors is one of our investors and our advisors. I think the most important thing about having a mentor, more so than getting direct understanding of their experience of something that could help you, is just being able to talk through with somebody you trust.
Right.
It's really important just to let that mind flow freely and make sure that you have a trusted response on the other side.
It's so funny because when I'm coaching people, a lot of times, because I record and transcribe it for myself, I go back because I feel like I'm at my advice. I'm sitting there going, oh, that's good advice. I should really take that. I'm speaking to myself. And then furthermore, I have coaches as well.
Yes.
And I feel the same way, that the two things that people don't talk about in the coaching arena is, one, just having the ability to talk through things yourself.
Yes.
And you've answered your own question.
Yes.
Sometimes as a coach, I feel guilty. I'm like, you're paying me for this? You just answered your own question. But also the relationship capital. I think maybe one of the top coaches in the world is that I look for mentors that are in the situation I want to be in, but also are in the spheres of influence I want to be in.
Totally.
Because as you kind of pay for that mentorship, they input you into the financial side of it, or they put you into the channel partner side, or just endorsement or branding or whatever it may be.
Yes.
Last question. You're young. Your business is growing. What legacy would you like to leave when it's all said and done?
When I think about Trainiac specifically, if we could make a significant dent in the number of people that work out regularly, that's a legacy worth working for. And so you think about all of the innovation that has happened in fitness, long-term habitual fitness, it hasn't moved that much. And so if we can move that meter, that's a big deal.
Well, Akshay, I know you are moving that meter, and will even move it with greater acceleration and growth. This is Dave Meltzer with the CEO of Trainiac, Akshay Ahooja. Once again, this is Dave Meltzer with Entrepreneurs, The Playbook.